This is Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and we are going to be streaming over on the Trials channel next week, starting Monday, Kelsey's trial. This is in Massachusetts, and let me tell you a little bit. Let me just kind of give you the details. There's a lot to this. She is a former North Andover police officer.
Yeah.
She was shot by a fellow officer inside her home while they were serving her a restraining order. This happened in June of last year, June 30th. She is accused of pointing a handgun at police and pulling the trigger. The gun did not fire, however, and then the police then shot her. That's what the police are saying. That's what the prosecution is saying. The defense is saying that she was in a postpartum mental health collapse, very overwhelmed by the service of the restraining order, because it's not really a restraining order. It was a civil protection order that would have taken her 4-month-old child from her and custody given to her boyfriend, sort of in the process of becoming ex-boyfriend at this time.
Okay.
The defense says that she didn't point the gun at the police, that she pointed it at her own head, and that this was a suicide attempt, not what they initially called a murder attempt on the part of the police. So there's a lot of concerning and rather sketchy information in this situation.
Yeah.
So Fitzsimmons was a police officer in North Andover, and it was North Andover police who were serving this protection order on her. She had formal firearm training, of course. She's a law enforcement officer. Prosecutors are expecting to argue that her police training matters because she knew exactly how a handgun functions, including how to chamber a round, which actually turns out there hadn't been a round chambered in her handgun. That's why it didn't go off. Kelsey gave birth in early 2025. She was diagnosed with postpartum depression in March of 2025, about 3 weeks after childbirth. So she had her baby around in end of February, early March. Pretty quickly started having some pretty significant postpartum depression. She was in treatment right after her diagnosis, but she was pretty emotionally fragile throughout spring of 2025 and really right up to the time of this incident.
Wow.
Of course, the defense is going to hit heavily on the postpartum symptoms of emotional overwhelm, severe distress, disrupted sleep, and escalating instability.
Yeah.
Apparently, Kelsey also, as an officer, had a prior police response involving a mother and infant murder-suicide.
Oh, wow.
That really stayed with her and had pretty significant impact on her during her postpartum recovery.
Wow.
The father of the baby is Justin Alayan. They were engaged and, of course, shared this infant son. Around the time that the incident occurred, things were falling apart in that relationship.
Okay.
So leading up to the shooting was on June 30th of 2025. According to public filings, starting on June 27th, it looked like there was some pretty significant relationship stress escalating. There was a lot of tension around parenting, trust, and emotional instability.
Okay.
Then there was a conflict between Kelsey and Justin on Saturday, June 28th. They attended a bachelor party. There was alcohol involved. Justin reported that she was physically aggressive toward him, made suicidal statements, and made statements that were alarming involving their baby.
Oh, dear.
And that alcohol was definitely involved, and that there was a pretty big conflict that night.
Okay.
The next day, Justin seeks a protection order. And this protection order would include protection of the baby, which would mean taking custody of the baby from her and turning the baby over to Justin.
Okay. Oof.
And it would mean she could have no contact at all with either of
Yeah.
them.
With her 4-month-old baby.
Yeah. So here's what he alleged in the order that he filed with the court. He wanted police. He warned the police that service of the order could become dangerous. According to court summaries of the order, he feared that Kelsey could harm herself, could harm him, or create a dangerous situation for the baby.
Sure.
This is really important because he told the police that she could be a danger before they served the order. Now, I have a lot of experience with orders like this because I used to help people file for them
Right.
when I was right out of college as a social worker working in domestic violence.
Sure.
And when you say something like that to the police, they come armed. I mean, they're always armed, but they come on high alert.
More locked
That
and
they're
loaded.
expecting that there could be a gun, that they're expecting a confrontation.
Sure.
It's a really dangerous thing to do, actually, particularly in the part of someone that you love, because it could cause an incident. Now, I'm not saying that this was entirely the fault of that because there are other factors, but I do know that when the police get a warning like, hey, this could be a dangerous thing, they're going to show up prepared for a fight. That's concerning. So the restraining order, of course, didn't just separate Justin and Kelsey, but also separated the baby from her.
Right.
And it shifted control and care of the child to Elaine. So this was emergency temporary control. It's not final custody, but it's a short term. It depends on, I don't know. Here, the first order lasts for 2 weeks. And in that 2-week time, you have to go, or no, maybe the first order lasts, so it's either 1 or 2 weeks. And then in that time, you actually have a court hearing with the judge where you both go in and talk about whether, you want it to continue or not and why. And a lot of times in that hearing, there's visitation of children worked out. There's a lot of things worked out. So this was a short-term order. But if we're talking about someone who is experiencing postpartum depression, this could be really, it would be devastating for anyone to have their 4-month-old taken from their arms.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
But it would be even more so, I think, in what appears to be Kelsey's pretty fragile state at this point.
Yeah.
Kelsey, here's what she said happened on June 29th. So this is the day before the incident. She said she thought she was supposed to meet Justin with the baby. She waited at a park for him for roughly 3 hours and he never showed up, which is kind of interesting considering, that he's so concerned about his child and he didn't even show up to see the baby.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We got some really interesting information just before the show that I'm going to share with you at the end that puts a lot of this in context. So Monday, June 30th, it's like 2:00 in the afternoon. Police show up to her house. She was in her house feeding her baby when the police arrived. 3 officers came to serve this. I'm going to tell you right now that that's because they were told this could be dangerous. Because civil protection orders are not usually served by that many cops. 3 male cops enter her house. There is body cam footage of the incident. It is not out in the public that I can find anywhere. It is really the key evidence in this case because it is going to be the determination about whether or not she pointed the gun at the police or at herself. So when they came in, they served the restraining order. Their job is to enforce the immediate legal terms, which would mean taking the child, and they also secure any firearms that are present. So they would ask her. They did ask her apparently if she had any firearms. So this is what's reported anyway. The police say that she was a little sketchy about that. She's a cop. She has firearms. I mean, come on. What
Yeah.
she says happened is that what she was thinking about as this was happening is that with the restraining order issued, her firearms license would be affected. She wouldn't even actually be able to work as a police officer. And she was right in the process of going back to work after her maternity leave. She wouldn't be able to work because she couldn't have a gun. They were custody of her child was shifting away from her, and that this would probably end her law enforcement career. I don't know about that. There are men that get restraining orders like this all the time who do desk duty and then go right back to being a cop. But there's a whole element of this about being about a woman, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what officers say happened. Police asked whether there are firearms inside the house. She's dicey about whether or not there are any. And then she reaches behind a door and grabs a handgun. The police say, this is according to the arrest affidavit, and this is what the prosecution is alleging, that she pointed a gun toward an officer and pulled the trigger, but the gun did not fire. Prosecutors say she then attempted to chamber around. An officer reportedly yelled, "Kelsey, don't do it," and another officer fired and hit her twice in the chest.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Now,
Oof.
she says she pointed the gun at her own head. They say she pointed the gun at them.
That's a big
This
difference.
is going to be. No, the
You would.
police were wearing body cams, but that body cam footage has been very tightly protected because it is key evidence, and I think they just really don't want the jury pool to see it until the trial. She survived.
Mm-hmm.
She remained hospitalized for 53 days, recovering from gunshot wounds. She had 5 surgeries.
Oh, wow.
So her original criminal charges, remember, she's the one who shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who she pointed the gun at yet, but what we know is the gun didn't fire. So she didn't shoot anybody. She was shot twice. After 53 days recovering from gunshot wounds and being in the hospital, she was charged with armed assault with intent to murder and assault with dangerous weapon counts.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah. That seemed like a pretty extreme reaction. I don't know, man. These Massachusetts cops and this.
Right, yet again,
There are some
man.
people calling her the new Karen Reed, and you're going to see why. But
Yeah.
then the case went before a grand jury, and the grand jury was like, hold the fucking phone.
Mm-hmm.
And what they actually charged her with is assault with a dangerous weapon.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, there was no indication here at all that there was an intent to murder.
Anybody. Yeah.
My God. Yeah.
Yeah.
The boyfriend did know about the diagnosis, and he is a firefighter. He's not police, but he is in the same kind of circle.
Mm-hmm.
So she ends up with 1 felony charge. Maximum possible sentence is 5 years in prison. The court initially held her as dangerous and didn't allow her bail. This is after she's been in,
Mm-hmm.
the hospital for 53 days recovering from being shot twice in the chest.
Yeah.
Eventually she does get released to live with her parents on a GPS monitor. There are alcohol restrictions, no firearms, and like treatment supervision. There was a period in which she was released and then reincarcerated And this blows me away. Okay. She had to be able to pass regular breathalyzers for alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, for a while recovering from, being shot in the chest,
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't perform the breathalyzer test. Like,
Sure.
I think it was
Couldn't
like she didn't have
physically
enough,
do it. Sure.
physically
Pressure.
couldn't do it.
Well, my
And
understanding of the
so,
breathalyzer is it's pretty strenuous.
what
I said my understanding of the breathalyzer is it's pretty strenuous. I could be
is
wrong. I've
it? Well,
never
she
done it,
couldn't
but
do
that's
it.
what I
And
thought.
because she
Yeah.
couldn't do it, they put her back in jail,
So they're just
held her in
purposely
jail
being
for more time.
assholes. They're just purposely
Yeah.
being unfair to her.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, she's going to go out and do a bunch of drinking. She physically cannot do the breathalyzer. But
Mm-hmm.
they decide, no, sorry, not our problem, and put her back in jail until she could do the breathalyzer. Until
That
very
is
recently,
insane.
yeah, until very recently, she's had to live with her parents and be supervised by them. She just
Yeah.
recently got permission to move to her own apartment, still on
Mm-hmm.
GPS monitoring. Guess who she does not get to see, though?
Yeah.
Her child. There's going to be a lot brought up by the defense, and it's already happening prior to the trial, about
Mm-hmm.
Justin's credibility around this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that has come out is that as soon as she was out of the house after the shooting, he went in and he took some stuff: a laptop, iPad, her passport, her personal records, and other possible evidence he removed from her home.
Wow.
Seems a little sketchy, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the other thing that's going on is that there's a custody battle happening, of course, over
I'm
this trial.
sure. Yeah.
And she filed a statement with the court where she listed off all of the drugs that she has known Justin to do, which, by the way, it's just, I tried to put together a list and it doesn't matter because it's all of them, guys. It's all of them.
But
Okay.
wait, are they
The
illicit
dude,
street drugs?
right down to like acid
Oh my God.
and mushrooms and alcohol and snorting Adderall, like all kinds of stuff. And this is, of course, what she has alleged. So I'm not alleging it; she's alleging it. But she's basically like, hey,
Does the fire department not drug test?
well, you'd think they would because they're not supposed to be using these drugs. No red devils, strangely enough, Jules, but good question. Oh, are you getting unskippable ads? Sorry about that, Paula. I think I answered a question wrong when I set up this stream.
Oh.
YouTube asks rather confusing
Vague and
questions.
impossible to answer questions? Yes.
They do. So I think that's my fault. I apologize. Normally we don't have unskippable ones in the stream. So now I know I answered the question wrong.
You'll do
Anyway,
better next
so
time.
she alleges all of this. Well, the fire department found out about that. So Justin has been suspended from the fire department while they take a look into this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, that's pretty concerning if true. But let me tell you something that happened today. Thanks, Jess, for the heads up. I watched another creators live right before coming on here. And I'm not going to share what they shared because it was their scoop. They got some recorded phone calls of Justin. There's a phone call of him on the day that the incident occurred. This is first thing in the morning. And of course, she was served at like 2:30 in the afternoon or something on the 30th. Justin's speaking with an officer, and Justin's main concerns are not about safety, they are about custody. He's asking this officer, which, by the way, police are not attorneys and they really cannot advise you about if there was a way for him to get a hold of and get custody of his child.
Right.
And it wasn't first of all, he sounds like he's 13 years old. He's 31. He got flustered at one point and put his sister on the phone with the officer. I was like, dude,
No.
you are a grown man. What are you doing? But they obviously are aware that if his civil protection order is granted, and I know it's not called that in Massachusetts, I just can't remember it's what it's called here. That this is one way that they've discovered that they could get hold of custody of the baby. Now,
Oh.
again, he's not talking about being worried about safety. He's talking about how to get his child away from her. I'm sure that these calls will be played in the trial, or they should be. I sure hope so. They're concerning. It's very concerning. Also, he gives the officer, or they both do, a heads up that, hey, there's probably going to be a civil protection order. We've filed for one. We're just waiting for it to be approved by the judge. It may be served on her today. So they kind of have a heads up this is happening. She was supposed to come in that day to pick up her radio because she's coming back to work from
Maternity. Yeah.
From maternity leave, right? So because of this, the officer opts to not let her have her radio back yet. And that's been something that no one's known for sure why she didn't get her radio back that day. That's because they knew.
Mm-hmm.
They knew hours before the service of the protection order that it was going to happen, and they didn't want her to hear it on the radio.
Wow.
So, yeah, family pressure. It appeared that there was a lot of family pressure on the part of the sister to be getting this baby away from her. Now, let's be really clear. Kelsey never actually harmed her child in any way.
No.
And we only know what threats were made based on Justin's word. Mm-hmm. And he was telling the officer that day, she's telling me now she's going to leave and go to someplace out of state and take the baby. And she's just acting crazy. We don't know if any of that's true because those are things that were told from Justin to the officer.
Right.
And that call really set up for me what the motivation is behind all this. And of course, we're going to see what happens in the trial. But I have a lot of questions about, was this really about safety? Right. Or had he decided that their relationship was going to hell and that he was going to take the baby from her? It's just a question. That's the question. Mm-hmm. So,
and sorry, but when I hear Massachusetts police officers or Massachusetts prosecutors, I get real dicey because we have seen some unbelievable bullshit. Now, I'm not saying that all prosecutors or all police officers in Massachusetts are corrupt, but good Lord.
I know.
We've covered a lot of cases that are really problematic.
It is an absolutely terrible situation. But is it a criminal situation or is this a family court custody situation? Right? Like, did she even commit a crime here?
Right.
She's been treated like absolute crap by the very department she worked for.
Right. So then you have to really wonder what other vendettas were here.
Yeah.
Like, what is this really about? Now, obviously, no one's saying they wanted Kelsey to have a chance to hurt her baby if she would have done so. Mm-hmm. But boy, there's a lot of holes in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my headphones keep messing up and then you cut out for me.
Oh.
I think it's possible that this pair of earbuds that I've been wearing for this show for, I don't even want to admit how many years, might be done. They might just be out, guys.
The end of the road.
Might need to admit defeat here.
Sometimes
they'll be okay.
Time.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't hear you. So tomorrow there is a hearing scheduled. Here's the thing about Massachusetts, man, at least this area. They don't really give a lot away in news articles about what time shit starts. So, as I understand it, pretrial hearings in this court generally begin between 9 and 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Okay. So, I'm going to go live at 8:45 because I do know it is being streamed. I know who's streaming it. It's just, they're like, well, it'll be on Wednesday.
Pretty open-ended.
It's a lot of hours. So there is supposed to be a rather short, they say, pretrial hearing tomorrow, 3/18. We're going to be live at 8:45 over on the Trials channel to see what happens. Be prepared to have to turn your volume up a lot, because what I've seen of this court and of the setup, it's not good quality. It's like one mic in the room or something. Like it's, yeah. So be prepared for that. But I will be streaming it as soon as I can get it up. And then this trial is scheduled to begin on Monday, the 23rd. It's only scheduled to go for 3 days. I think this is a really important one to stream and follow. I appreciate all of the recommendations that we follow this one, because there are really a lot of concerns here about whether or not she even commit a crime at all.
Right. This is a good case for us. Yeah, agree.
And her treatment so far by the courts and the police are pretty terrible. Pretty terrible, considering that she was shot in the chest and spent 53 days in the hospital and had 5 surgeries.
Well, that
She
should
didn't
putting her
actually
back
hurt
in jail
anybody.
because she couldn't breathalyze.
Yes, and
When
then
they
back in jail
easily
because she
could have
couldn't
done
breathalyze.
other tests. Breathalyzers aren't the only way to tell if you have alcohol in your system.
But it's coming across like they're like, but she's a police officer. She should know better. We're going to hold her to the highest standard. That's the impression I'm getting.
Well,
Also,
that's pretty
though,
crazy, Massachusetts, because
yeah, it is.
you sure didn't do that with Matthew Farwell.
Sure didn't. 8:45 Eastern. 8:45 Eastern, which, friends, that is 6:45 my time. God damn it. But I'll be there.
Really trying to keep my mind open for the trial to see where this shakes out.
I am
what
too,
evidence
because
there
there's
is
a
that we
lot.
haven't seen yet. But damn, right now I am mad as hell.
I know, I am too. I am too. And to listen to that phone call of Justin talking to the police, I'm like, how much collusion was there here? And how much planning on the part of Justin and his sister was done here to set this situation up? And did they, in fact, set her up to have a bad outcome? Now, she shouldn't have grabbed the gun. 100% should not have grabbed the gun.
No, definitely not.
But if they had been alerted to the fact that she was actually in a mental health collapse, they may have handled it differently. Maybe not. But the way that they only know what's on their paper.
Right.
When they go to serve these things. And so I think it really has to be looked at.
Yeah.
Is this really even a crime?
Yeah, I'm thinking this case needs all of the exposure.
Or was this attempted suicide? And I think one of the problems is it has not had a lot of exposure. It needs more, because it's such a messy situation. But is a criminal trial the way to handle all of it? It just, I don't know. I'm not really convinced that it is.
Yeah.
So that's what I know about Kelsey Fitzsimmons. We will be live over on the Trials channel at 8:45 a.m. Eastern. Sorry, 6:45 Mountain, 5:45 Pacific. Sorry, guys. To watch this hearing, see what's going to be happening leading up to the trial beginning on Monday, and then we'll be streaming the trial. So join us over there on True Crime Squad Trials. Be sure you go over there and subscribe and hit the bell so that you see when we schedule our lives. I already have tomorrow scheduled. And you got the ads too. Sorry. I fucked up. I obviously did the wrong thing. So anyway, join me with that tomorrow, because I think we got to watch this. I think we need to see. I think everybody needs to see what the hell's really going on in this situation.
Definitely.